Hi, Ange. How are you feeling? Oh, yeah. And that one, it only plays, I figured it out the other day. Because I have the thing that's deemed my source, the camera, minimized in the corner over this video, it's playing on the screen that it thinks is my camera. So some of the GIFs only show up when my camera's on. Does that make sense? Yeah, I just figured it out literally today because I figured out a new way to change my things. So, at least I think. So it should, but some of them don't do that. Like the corgi will show up on the screen anyway. It's only like the ones that go on the head. And since that UFO one goes on the head, I noticed the ones that go on the head only show up when I have the story image expanded, because that's technically my camera source. Because I'm like tricking TikTok, you know. So, they are showing, just not like they're showing down in the tiny box. The UFO gift and lots of others, Skrilla. Hi, Cassie. Hi, Nido. Hi, Oh So Very Ordinary. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Saturday. I'm glad, Elizabeth. I'm glad I can help. And if you guys would do me a big favor, I just realized both of the things I said, the tiny box too. I'm not very good at word choices. Probably because I'm not a perv. No, I'm just kidding. Probably because I'm not constantly thinking about that stuff. And I wasn't even thinking about it. And then now I'm like, what? I know you are, Ange. And I'm not a Puritan. I am actually the quite opposite of it. And it's not always on my brain. Like, I'm not just like, small box, vagina. Taco, vagina. Head, dickhead. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not the way my brain works. And it has nothing to do with being a Puritan. And everything to do with the fact that I'm, not 15. A lot of people, Deborah, Skrilla, and a lot of people in the chat. Hi, Scarlett, I can see you. You'll multitask for me. Okay, thank you, Skrilla. And it doesn't mean that, like, I don't think it's, like, I just don't That's not what I think of right away. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't like, so I always, Lemons always yells at me and she's like, word choices. Deborah's, or not Deborah, Lemons is always like, word choices, Devin, word choices, because I don't think about it. And I literally say things that like sound like I'm trying to be, and I'm like not. I just accidentally talk like that, I guess. Because even in some of my stories, like there's one that once people pointed it out to me, I'm not going to say which one it is, but there is one where once I looked at the wording, I'm like, definitely sounds like I was writing this as an innuendo the whole time. Didn't even mean to at all. Hi, Love Bug. Hey, Lemons. I was just talking about you and how you always tell me about my word choices because I don't even realize that half the stuff I say is like innuendos. I'm like oblivious to it. And I'm like, oh. And you're a Scorpio, so you are very tuned into that. What about Route 666? Thank you, Elizabeth. Justin. All right, guys, feel free. Happy Saturday. Feel free to write your story requests in all capital letters in the chat. I will write them down. And please, if you guys have funny story titles, silly story titles with your requests, please write suggestions for silly story titles with them. That's not true, Skrilla. That's not true at all. But interesting that you think that way. We must be having two different conversations. Ange, that one's good. Eilish, you're so cute. And he's not wrong. I do. I lose my voice every night. Thank you, Bossling. Good night, Rebecca. Y'all, I'm not playing anything. That's the thing. I don't play games. And I'm not competitive. I don't give a shit. I'm not playing shit. Thank you, Magic Damon. Wait, second place boingers? Is that a typo? Oh, that one's funny, Eric. The Melonhead one is funny. Exactly, Cassie. He can fly anywhere. Wait, what did you say? You said, hello, beautiful. How are you today? And then you said, everything to do, and everything to do with just using your brain in the correct way. Wait, I missed something, I think. Thank you guys for the cozy cryptids and the roses and the populars. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all of these stories myself. Hi, Seabass. And you can listen to them whenever you would like. Thanks, Yvette. On my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. I also have all the links in my bio. Aw, Lemons, I love you. I love you, Lemons. And thank you, Kevin. And Skrilla, I didn't say I don't care. I meant I don't care about playing games and competitiveness and winning things. I've never cared about being competitive. I'm like, whatever. Hi, Carrie. Alright, guys, it's Silly Story Title Saturday. So, yeah, Lemons hates it when I tell her I love her. So I do it all the time. And then she tells me, don't make it weird. That's what she always says. Don't make it weird. I'm like, I love you so much. You're such a good friend. I'm so lucky we're friends. She's like, don't make it weird. You envy what, Justin? Oh, not being competitive? Yeah, it's actually not a good thing because I've noticed that most people's motivation is actually stemmed because they give a shit what other people think, and I don't. So it's very hard to like give a shit about like, I don't know, a lot of the things that other people seem to worry about, but then it ends up being like something important you should be worrying about. Does that make sense? I could be a little more bothered, if that makes sense. Skrilla, that's actually accurate. That's pretty true. Rachel, that's 100% what it is. Yep, the ego death. But I've never cared that much what other people thought of me because I was always just so different and weird that I was like, I'm not even going to try to be like that, right? But after the ego death, 100%, I just, I don't care anymore. I'm just who I am. You know what I mean? Like there's like no pretense. Like I think that's why I couldn't even have a corporate job anymore because I don't think I could bullshit enough to get the fucking job. I'd be like, well, to be honest, I don't want this job. I just need money. This place fucking sucks. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think like, I'm past caring about competitive or, you know, any of that kind of stuff. But I'm not past caring about people. I'm just past caring about like what others think that aren't important. You know what I mean? Exactly, Lemons. Like Rachel Maddow. You know what? I really like the way she gracefully drops bombs on people. So yeah, I wouldn't even mind being like her. But it's funny that I don't know, that it takes a lesbian. You know what I mean? Like they're always the ones to stand up. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be like, oh, she's real butch. Like it should be feminine women, you know, like women that are doing that as well. You know, so I'll be one. I'll be one. Because it shouldn't be the stereotype that like, oh, she's butch though. She's like a man. No, it should be feminine women doing the same thing. Yeah, Rachel Maddow's a beast. I love her. Love her. Absolutely love her. And she does it with such grace. She does it like the calm way. Just like, you know, almost like she's had training. Yeah, that's what they were saying, Lemon. Somebody asked me if I wanted to be like Rachel Maddow and how I should be. And I was like, yeah, because the way she says stuff is just very... You're butch. I love that, Elizabeth. But I feel like people think like... They assume that like butch women are going to be feminist. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like... Or be like liberal or... You know what I mean? So I feel like we need more women... You know what I mean? That... I don't even know how to explain it, but we need... the other side of the women to join the team and speak out. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like the butch women have been carrying the weight for a really long time. You know what I mean? They've always been like straight business, you know? Hi, Nate. And I say this because several of my best friends growing up are butch lesbians, and they've always been no bullshit. It's kind of amazing. You've been rescued 3 times by dogs. I'm trying to connect that to what I was saying. Cool. I've been rescued by cats lots of times. Like the IHIP. I don't know what that means. Liz got biz. Yeah, I like that. All right, guys, feel free to write your story requests in the chat in all capital letters. Please help me with the silly story titles if you can. That'd be great. But I'm not as tired this week, so I should be able to think of them better than when my car battery died and I'd been in the sun all day and, you know. I love Justin, our little Canadian. He's like, who's Rachel Maddow? Thank you, DNC Warrior. I'm glad you got what I was trying to say. Aw, Justin. Brooke, you're cute. Me too, Psycho. It's the worst feeling. Okay, Justin, you just got called out by Seabass. Looks like you can't blame this one on being Canadian, Justin. Oh, I like that one, Lemons. That's a good one. I totally forgot to share out the live. Oops. Welcome in, everybody. My name's Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I am here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all of these stories myself, and you can listen to them whenever you would like on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. And if you guys could do me a big favor while I set up the first poll, if you could hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner. There is a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Also, sharing to your stories and sharing with your friends helps too. I will be right back with the first poll. Happy Saturday. Thank you, Michelle. Hi, Lily. Hi, Tao. I've done it before, Brooke, and I got sent home from school. My mom had to come pick me up in elementary school because I did it. But my mom told me if a boy ever tried to touch me, in certain, you know, that I should do that. And so I did. Because he kept snapping my bra, because I was the first girl to get a bra. And he kept snapping my bra on the playground, so I turned around and I kicked him right in the balls. And then they called my mom and sent me home from school. And my mom said, "I've never been more proud of you. Let's go get ice cream." Yeah, my mom's a badass, dude. She raised me to do that. She's the one that told me. She's like, if a boy ever touches you, kick him right in the nuts. I was like, yes, ma'am. Good one, Nate. Nope, you haven't missed a story yet. All right, guys. I let you guys pick the first batch of silly story titles. Thank you, Neil. And thank you, Lady Rose. Thanks, Kim. I let you guys pick all of these. So, all right. So we've got the poll ready. And it's Silly Story Title Saturday. So, oh wait, it's under review. It always does under review when I do these weird titles. It does not like them. Give me 1 second. All right, guys, the first pull is ready. We have the Tin Can. Don't forget, it's Silly Story Title Saturday. So these are not the usual titles. Yes, Ian. All right, we have the Tin Can. And you guys came up with these titles yourself for the first poll, okay? We have Tin Can, Snot Hole, It's Florida, What Do You Expect? Gourd Almighty, and Don't Lose Your Head. You can vote in the top left-hand corner. There is a blue box, and you can vote up to 50 times. And you can vote for more than one story. Who's it gonna be? Kim, are those punches in my face for the Tin Can? James made that up. Right, Narwhal? She said, I know I'm going to get him too. What? No, Laura, you can just type it again. Okay, Laura, I got it. No Crypt Keeper, that's why it says spooky stories. They're not scary, they're spooky. All right, you guys, the winner is Don't Lose Your Head, which is my historical romance fantasy, basically. So here we go, guys. Buckle up. Not expecting that one to win. So there we go. Good story title, Lady Rose. Thank you, Vinny, for the potato in Paris. Perfect timing. You must know what story this is. You must know what story this is. No, it's not Brooke. I said historical, guys. Historical. Elizabeth, there you go. Bingo. Lemons. You mean hysterical? I heard hysterical. Okay, guys, I'm trying out a new way to switch the backgrounds that I think will help me avoid having to redo them all. So give me a little bit of grace. I'm not sure if it's going to work or not. We'll see. Thank you, Cats and Coffee. Thank you, Chewy's dad. Thanks, Deborah. Oh my God, Brooke, are you okay? Thank you, Ali Marie. How are you? Or Ali Marie? Welcome to the porch. Also, guys, while I'm pulling up the first story, could you do me a big favor and hit that share arrow? In the bottom right-hand corner, there is a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch. Also, if you get me sending you the live right now, if you're already in here, just ignore it. I forgot to send it out to my list of people that I sent it out to, so I'm going to do the same thing right now, and ignore it if I message you, because I just have a list of the top people that I send all my stuff to. So yeah, of course you are, Tao. Thank you, Suzanne. I did it. More, I fixed it. Narwhal, that's funny. Sorry guys, I'm fixing the levels. Is that okay? Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pals Society. This is the tale of the Versailles time slip. I have always been drawn to history, to the stories of people who lived and died long before I was born. But I never imagined that I would become part of one of those stories myself. This is the tale of how I was thrust into the heart of one of the most tumultuous periods in human history, the French Revolution. It was a time of opulence and terror, of beauty and bloodshed. And for a brief, horrifying moment, I was there. I have always had a deep, unexplainable connection to France and French culture. And I mean a past life kind of connection. Ever since I was a child, the things I was drawn to, art, music, architecture, history, always seemed to trace back to France. Thank you, No Cortar. As I grew older, that fascination never faded. If anything, it intensified. And by adulthood, some people even joked that I was a full-fledged Francophile. In my late 20s, my boyfriend at the time surprised me for my birthday with a trip to France. We planned to spend one day in Paris before traveling south to Carcassonne, where we would stay with one of my closest friends, Katie, for the rest of the week. Unfortunately, I ended up with food poisoning on our one and only night in Paris, and the immersive Parisian experience I had always dreamt of never quite happened. Still, Carcassonne was magical. The medieval fortified city felt timeless, and despite everything, it became one of the most incredible trips of my life. Nearly a decade had passed and my life had changed in ways that I never could have predicted. but my desire to return to Paris never left. I still felt pulled toward it, pulled toward a place I believed I had lived in another lifetime. So eventually I saved up enough money to take a solo trip. This time I was determined to fully immerse myself in French history and culture. And that's how I found myself wandering through the Palace of Versailles. I moved slowly through its grand halls and gilded chambers, overwhelmed by the sheer extravagance of it all. The Hall of Mirrors was especially breathtaking. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbows of light across polished floors. And for a moment, I felt suspended between the centuries. And that's when I noticed the clock. It sat on a small side table, ornate and delicate, unlike anything I had ever seen. Its face was engraved with roses and fleur-de-lis, and every detail was impossibly fine. Without thinking, I reached out and I touched it. The moment my fingers brushed the clock, the world seemed to dissolve. The air grew heavy. There was a strange electric hum, and I felt as if I were falling, even though my feet never left the ground. When the world snapped back into focus, I was no longer surrounded by tourists. The air was thick with the scent of perfume and candle wax. Laughter and music echoed through the halls. I was still in Versailles, but not the Versailles I knew. It was 1789. The palace was alive with activity. Nobles in powdered wigs and silk gowns strolled through the corridors, their voices sharp with gossip and intrigue. Servants hurried past carrying trays of food and wine. The opulence was overwhelming, but beneath it all, I felt something darker. A simmering tension. Whispers filled the air of bread shortages, unrest in Paris, a king and queen dangerously disconnected from the suffering of their people. I looked down at myself and I froze. My modern clothes were gone, and in place was a pale blue silk gown. My hair was piled high in an elaborate style that I have never learned to create. I had become one of them. Panic surged through me. How long would I be here? How could I survive in a world I didn't belong? As I stood there struggling to breathe, a man approached me. He was tall and striking, with piercing eyes and the confident posture of someone used to command. He wore the uniform of a royal guard, his sword gleaming at his side. He bowed slightly and spoke, his voice calm and polite. I hesitated before responding, and then I nodded, claiming that I had taken the wrong turn. He smiled and offered his arm, explaining that the palace halls could get confusing. He introduced himself as Captain Laurent de Montreal, a member of the King's Guard. He was charming, kind, and for a moment, I almost forgot how dangerous my situation truly was. And then we passed a window. Outside the palace gates, crowds gathered. They were not nobles, they were ordinary people, peasants, workers, faces hollow with hunger and fury. They shouted for bread, for justice, for the heads of the king and the queen. Laurent noticed my expression and dismissed them, calling them rebels and agitators. He believed the king would restore order. But I knew better. I knew what was coming. The storming of the Bastille, the reign of terror, the guillotine. And I was trapped in the middle of it. Justin. Over the next few days, I tried to blend in. I attended lavish balls and soirees where nobles danced and drank as if the world beyond the palace walls didn't exist. I even met Marie Antoinette herself. Beautiful, charming, and shockingly naive. She spoke of gardens and gowns and children, never of the suffering outside. I wanted to warn her. I wanted to scream. But history could not be changed. The tension in the palace grew heavier. Whispers of revolution grew louder, and fear crept in even the hearts of the privileged. One night as I stood on a balcony overlooking the gardens, Laurent found me. His face was grim. He told me it wasn't safe anymore and that I should leave. I told him that I didn't belong there and I didn't know how to leave. He looked at me strangely, but before he could respond, shouting erupted below, and torches lit the night. The mob was storming the palace gates. The revolution had begun. Chaos exploded through Versailles. Nobles fled in all directions. Their wealth suddenly meaningless. I ran with Laurent through twisting corridors as smoke filled the air, and the sound of gunfire echoed through the palace. The mob was everywhere. They dragged nobles from hiding places, pleas of mercy drowned out by rage and desperation. I saw Marie Antoinette being dragged away, her face pale with fear. As Laurent and I tried to escape through a side door, the crowd surrounded us. Laurent drew his sword, but it was useless. There were too many of them. He stepped in front of me, pressing his back against mine to shield me. And I could feel his heart racing. I could feel his fear. Hands grabbed him, and I tried to hold on, but they tore him away. The last thing I saw was Laurent's face, filled with despair, telling me he was sorry, as the mob dragged him away. Then the hum returned. The world tilted and I was falling again. When I opened my eyes, I was back in the modern Palace of Versailles, my hand still resting on that ornate clock. Tourists passed by, oblivious of what I had just experienced. I never told anyone what happened. How could I? But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still see their faces. Laurent, Marie Antoinette, the starving mob, the terrified nobility. People we now remember as larger-than-life figures in history were once real. They had real emotions, real fears, real heartbeats. I still don't know whether what I experienced was real or some strange daydream brought on by finally standing in Versailles. But either way, I learned this. Somewhere in time, history is still alive. And the next time you're somewhere of historical importance, Be careful what you touch. And that's the tale of the Versailles time slip. Thank you, Eilish. It's not even really scary, and I've never done another one like it because it's based on historical fact, but it's actually fiction, and it just doesn't fit like the formula of the stories I usually write. So it's the only one like that. It's the only one that's like not even really scary. It's kind of an unexplained fiction. Yeah. So that's the only story I have that's like that. Hi, Jennifer. Thanks, guys. Yes, time slips are really amazing and cool. And I have several stories on them, but they're usually under the Unexplained series. And actually, that's not true. The other one I wrote, I take it back. The other one I wrote is the Salem time slip. My time slip stories are kind of a mix of both. And thanks, Happily Rude Mom. Yeah, I love history, and I remember my past lives. And I definitely lived in France in one of them, so I just kind of wanted to go back and tell you guys about it a little bit. Yeah. Hi, Jim. How are you? Cool, Justin. Thanks for making all of us want it now, too. Appreciate that. Robin, thank you for the galaxy's bestest. Yeah, Twilight Zone. Thank you, Lynn. Oh, thank you, Vinny. Yes, exactly. I have some of my strongest memories of my past lives are from France. Elizabeth, that's probably why. Anyway, thanks for writing keywords in the chat, guys, that have to do with the live. Oh, Songbird, thank you for the marshmallow hand and the sparkles. That's cute. And welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I am here every single night from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all of these stories myself, and you can listen to them whenever I'm not live on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. And you know what's funny, Robin, is that is not an idea that I have not tossed around, to be honest, because I could tell you some things that are very weird since I was born. Literally, like, some weird shit. That like I was definitely someone bougie during that time period. Yes, in fact. Because I also know that I had horses and a palace. Because I've actually had a psychic come up and approach me once and tell me that she knew me in my past life in France. And that we rode horses together at my palace. And it was bizarre, and like she didn't even charge me, and we were at a like convention where they charge for readings, and she was like, she winked at me when I walked in, and I was like, do I know that girl? And then when I went to leave, she was like, excuse me, can you come here? Do we know each other? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, we know each other. And I was like, she's like, would you mind sitting down for a minute? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then she's like, and then she looks at me for a minute, and then all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, we don't know each other in this lifetime. And then she told me all about France. And then she was like, I'm sorry to bother you. I know that you were leaving. I just wanted to stop you before you go. And then she gave me like her phone number and her card and everything. And it was really, and then like, I never mentioned anything about France to her. Yeah, I didn't even know this girl. She didn't know I was a Francophile and that I have memories of living in France and stuff, you know? So it was very wild. And I was like, okay, I had a palace with horses. She just gave me a couple more pieces to the puzzle. So I wouldn't put it past. And she also said I had gardens and stuff. So I'm like, oh God, please don't say I was Marie Antoinette, my God, because I am really bitchy too. But I'm also so giving, but also that's what past lives do, is you learn your lessons and then the next time you're not that piece of shit. So like, I'm like giving to a fault now. I'm very generous. So I'm like, okay, hell yeah, maybe I'm close to ascension. If I was her back then, I could not be less like that now. So like, fuck yeah. So if I was her, I feel like I really did the work. I'll be right back with the next poll, guys. Yes, Robin, I did. And it was very good. Isla, she said, stay forever. Girl, I can't. I am old and tired. My soul is old. And people aren't listening anymore. I feel like they used to be more receptive. I don't think my work's really mattering that as much in this timeline as it used to. The toast with the most. Do I love toast? I love toast. Like Doctor Who a little. I need to watch that show. A lot of people have actually told me that. And I know it's time travel, but that's all I know. I really need to watch it because a lot of people have said that. She regenerates. Yeah. Interesting. That kind of does. Becomes a new face. Yeah. That's Doctor Who. Somebody said Doctor Strange. Aren't those two different things? Okay, well then I need to watch Doctor Who. Not Doctor Strange. Okay, I need to watch Doctor Who. Yeah, I like my face this time. But I've liked it before too. Oh, cool, Eilish. What is it streaming on? Yeah, I think Doctor Strange time travels too. Hey, Kim. How are you seeing what you showed me today? How do you see all those comments? What did you click on? Got no brain. Insane in the membrane. And thank you, Sherry. Hi, Misty. Hi, Jessica. Okay, you guys, the next poll is ready. We have the tin can, the snot hole. Who put this door here? Hire a contractor next time. And hooty hoo! You can vote in the top left-hand corner. It's Silly Story Title Saturday. These are not the real titles. They're just silly. You can vote in the blue box that's under that stupid universe banner. You can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. The winner is Who Put This Door Here? I'll be right back with that story. And if you're new here, welcome in. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. Really, Brooke? I love that. Hi, Ohio girl. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the porch. I'm in Ohio too. Robin Tate, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the porch. We have 3 other Robins that hang out in here. Welcome. Gonna start collecting robins. No, no, Chow, not at all. Awesome Aquatics. Hi. Welcome. Yeah, there's a lot of robins. A knuckle sandwich. That's cute. Oh, yes, Guinevere. Same as my beef, Rich. If you guys could do me a big favor while I pull up the next story, could you just hit that share arrow in the bottom right hand corner? There's a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. That puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow our beautiful porch. Brings in cool people instead of trolls. Also, thank you for tapping the screen. It does help us get pushed out. Yes, Guinevere. You like the fire extinguisher? Yeah. And you can share it to your stories, share it with your friends. And thank you guys for doing keywords like Eric does here. It is very helpful for when the AI scans the chat. It knows what our live is about, so we can talk about whatever we want. Thank you, Speedy, for the shards of hope. Thank you, Rich, for the club power. Also, yes, we're not using that one anymore, Brooke, because they're not going away. So we're not using that one anymore, unfortunately. And it has hurt my numbers, but whatever. It's better than dealing with those. Also, yeah, thank you for sharing it out. Thank you for tapping. Robin, thanks for the star map of Polaris. Yeah, they haven't gone away and the campaign ended, so it's pretty annoying. They've kept several, which is annoying. So anyway, no gift lasts forever, so whatever. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm so fucking sick of those things. Anyway, I will be right back with who put this door here? Thank you, Robin. Guinevere, what do you mean? Stray kittens where? Yes, I do, Barbles. I read it last night. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the door in the water. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Robin. Hi, Tommy. Thank you, Lisa. Ireland has a long memory for the things that live near the water. Rivers, lakes, tidal inlets, places where land blurs into something deeper have always carried their own folklore. Oh, Megan, you're so sweet. Long before written history, stories passed from village to village about beings that lived in those shifting boundaries between land and water. Some were said to be spirits. Others were described as ancient races that existed alongside humanity but rarely revealed themselves. And one of the oldest and most widely known among them is the Selkie. In Scottish and Irish folklore, Selkies are described as seals that can shed their skin and take human form on land. The stories appear in oral traditions stretching back centuries along the Atlantic coast. Particularly in places where fishing villages lived side by side with the sea. But the legends don't treat Selkies like romantic fairy tale creatures. Most of the old stories carry warnings. They describe fishermen seeing seals watching them from the water with unsettling intelligence. They describe people who claim to encounter strangers along empty shorelines who seemed almost human but not. And the most persistent belief woven through these stories is simple. If a Selkie's sealskin is stolen while they are on land, they cannot return to the sea. Some folktales describe human men hiding the skins and forcing the Selkie to marry them and remain on land. But the ending of those tales is rarely happy, usually resulting in the Selkie killing the human man, finding her skin and leaving. No matter what life she built on land, no matter who she leaves behind. When given the choice, she will always return to the sea. And the men who tried to remove that choice usually wound up dead. And in some stories, the sea takes something with it when that happens. The man's soul. I had been traveling along Ireland's western coastline for several days, working on a series about folklore that still lingers quietly in certain landscapes. The Atlantic coast of Ireland is the perfect place for that kind of story. Cliffs fall straight into cold gray water. Fishing villages sit exactly where they have for centuries. The wind carries the smell of salt and seaweed across miles of open stone. It's the kind of place where old stories don't feel completely separate from the present. Eventually, my route took me to Doolin, a small village perched along the coast not far from the cliffs of Moher. Most visitors come there for the cliffs or the traditional music pubs, But a few miles north of the village sits a narrow stretch of shoreline that locals sometimes call the Seal Strand. It's not marked on tourist maps. There's no sign pointing the way. Just a rough gravel track leading toward the water. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Tina. I found the place late in the afternoon while exploring the coastline. The Atlantic stretched out endlessly beyond the rocks, gray waves rolling slowly toward the shore. A handful of seals were resting on black stone ledges near the waterline. They watched me quietly as I approached. Seals are common along the Irish coast, so at first, the sight didn't seem unusual. But the way they were watching me did. They weren't startled. They didn't slide back into the water like most seals do when people get close. They just stayed there watching, following my movements with their eyes. The tide was beginning to fall, exposing long stretches of slick rock. Pools of seawater collected in the crevices, reflecting the dimming sky. I walked along the shoreline for a while, filming the seals from a distance and listening to the steady rhythm of the waves. Eventually, the animals slipped quietly back into the water one by one, except for one. It remained on a flat rock near the edge of a narrow inlet. A large gray seal. Its head tilted slightly as it watched me. The sun dipped lower. Shadows from the cliffs stretched across the water. And that was when I noticed something strange along the far side of the inlet. A figure on the rocks. At first, I thought it was another visitor watching the sunset too. But something about the posture caught my eye. They sat perfectly still, barefoot. Long dark hair moved gently in the wind. I assumed they simply hadn't noticed me yet. So I walked a little closer. And that's when the seal on the rock behind me slipped back into the water. The splash echoed across the inlet. The figure on the far side turned their head and looked directly at me. Their expression wasn't surprised or annoyed. It was almost as if they had been expecting someone. They stood slowly and stepped onto the wet rocks beside the inlet. And that's when I noticed something else. Their clothes lay folded neatly on a nearby stone. And beside them, something dark and heavy. Something that looked almost like a wet animal hide. For a moment, neither of us moved. The wind picked up slightly, pushing small waves through the narrow channel between the rocks. The figure studied me with a calm, steady expression. And then they stepped directly into the water and disappeared beneath the surface without a splash. I stood there waiting for them to reappear. Seconds passed, then a minute. The water remained perfectly calm. No movement, no sign of anyone surfacing. I walked to the edge of the inlet and I looked down into the dark water. The tide had pulled away enough that the bottom should have been visible through the clear surface. But the channel dropped deeper than I'd expected and the water turned black, just a few feet below the rocks. As I leaned closer, something moved. slow and smooth, rising upward. The gray seal from earlier broke the surface of the water only a few feet from where the figure had vanished. It floated there quietly, looking at me. And in that moment, a strange thought crossed my mind. That maybe I was looking into the same eyes that had been watching me from across the inlet earlier. The seal held my gaze for several seconds. Then it slowly turned toward the rock where the folded clothes still lay. I followed its gaze, and the hide was gone. Nothing remained except the pile of clothes on a wet stone and the sound of the ocean moving around. Then I turned back toward the water, and the seal had vanished too. Night was settling over the coastline by then. The wind grew stronger, pushing the tide slowly back toward shore. The inlet began filling with deeper water. I stayed there for a while longer, trying to convince myself that there had to be a simple explanation. A swimmer, a diver, someone who had slipped away beneath the rocks? But the longer I stood there, the more the scene replayed in my mind. Eventually, I started walking back toward the gravel road. The last light of day had faded completely, leaving only the pale outline of waves against the rocks. Halfway up the path, I heard a sound behind me. A voice carried by the wind, calling from the shoreline below. I turned. By now, the inlet was barely visible in the darkness. But something stood on the rock where the figure had been earlier. The wind shifted again and carried another sound across the rocks. I stood there listening. It was a song. I stood there as her call echoed across the shoreline. And then another answered from somewhere out in the dark ocean. And another. Several voices. The figure on the rock didn't move. It simply watched the water waiting. The tide continued rising slowly beneath the cliffs, filling the inlet, reaching the rock where the figure stood. And just before the waves covered the stone completely, she disappeared beneath the water, as if she had always belonged there. I stayed long enough to watch the tide swallow the inlet entirely, and then the ocean grew quiet again. The rocks vanished beneath the dark surface. Nothing remained except the sound of the waves. But as I finally turned back toward the road, one thought kept circling in my mind. In all the old Selkie legends, the creature only returns to the sea after finding its skin again. And if that dark hide on the rock had really been what it looked like, then the question that stayed with me wasn't whether I had seen a Selkie that evening. That wasn't the unnerving part. The horrifying thought to me was, who was the sick human being that took her skin? And where is he now? And that's the tale of the door in the water, aka the story of my kin. Thank you, Fairy Witch. That's okay, Elizabeth. Everybody falls asleep in here. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. And Audrey, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the porch. Hi, Joe. EMZ, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the porch. I do write and record all of these stories myself, and if you would like to listen to them when I'm not live, you can find them on my YT channel as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. So if you just look for Porch Lore, you will find me. I also have all of the links in my bio. There is a playlist on my YT channel called Bedtime Stories, where you will find these stories and you can hit play all, shuffle, and you'll probably be asleep by the second one. What I do here is I read those stories live to build community. So, welcome to the porch, guys. I'm going to set up the next poll for us to vote for the next story. And if you guys could do me a big favor and hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow our beautiful porch. Mimon, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the porch. Also sharing to your stories, which is the little circle with the twinkle in it, that helps too. And sharing with your friends. And thank you to everybody tapping the screen. We're almost to 100K. I appreciate you. That helps us get pushed out. And I'll be right back with the next story. Happy Saturday, everybody. And welcome to the porch. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax. Check out the shooting stars. And welcome to the porch. Good, Sandy. That's what I'm here for. I'm so glad. Okay, guys, the next poll is ready. We have Shadow Queen. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the porch. All right, we have The Tin Can. Oh, it's also Silly Story Title Saturday. So don't forget, these are not the real titles. We're just being silly. All right, we have The Tin Can. We have Nobody Ever Leaves. We have Hire a Contractor Next Time. Okay. We have Hootie Hoo. And yes, that's a Master B reference. We also have, oh no, he didn't. Okay. You guys can vote in the top left-hand corner. There is a blue box, and you can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. Oh my God, Justin, is that a rap song you know? You hear this music walking through 1,000-year-old graveyards? Oh, well, that's me. Hi, my name's Devin. I'm a siren. How's it going? Yeah, but Justin, that was Master P. Oh my God. Spook yourselves out with what, EMZ? There you go, Melly. There you go. Add a girl. Make them say, Na 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 na. Deborah's like all of them. Oh, walking around graveyards. Well, EMZ, this might make you feel better. If you were dead and your spirit finally got to leave your flesh sack body that has arthritis and all the other things that happened, or if it got shot or whatever, would you hang out where it was decomposing? Would you be like, you know what, I'm just going to sit right here. Let me hang out next to my dead body. No. Unpopular opinion, but cemeteries are not full of spirits. They're consecrated ground, and why the hell would you hang out there? So don't even, honestly, I'm not scared of cemeteries at all. I use them for family tree building and learning about history. I literally don't ever feel anything when I'm at cemeteries, because why would anybody be there? Yeah. So it's a very unpopular opinion in the paranormal community, but I don't find graveyards scary because I don't believe in the body being anything. I don't even really believe in sacred burial stuff, because nobody that's just our bodies this time. That's not really anything. You know what I mean? We turn back into the earth. We become one again with the dirt. So to me, I just don't feel like cemeteries are where the spirits are. It's where the bodies are. It's where the corpses are. But the spirits, Melly says, I don't think they're scary because I'm a scary bitch. Yeah, I also don't really think anything is scary except for heights and crocodiles. Exactly, Brooke. I believe in reincarnation. So those spirits aren't there. They aren't there. They're gone. And I mean, unless they were unalived in a cemetery and there's an energy imprint there, you know what I mean? That's possible, but it's much more likely in a home or somewhere that they did really regular things in their life and their energy's imprinted there. You know what I mean? You'd be much more likely to find spirits somewhere like an insane asylum or a hospital or an orphanage or a home, depending on what happened in the home, but something where there were lots of people, lots of energy, and they lived there and resided there for a long time. But a cemetery, They weren't even there when they were alive, probably. They don't even fucking know that place. Actually, Brooke, you can take time off. You don't have to go straight to the next. You can pause and you get to choose. Why the fuck I chose this one? No idea. No, I ask myself that a lot. Exactly, Songbird. No way to heights. Hard pass. You're going to Disneyland, Song? Oh, yeah, you're going to Disneyland as a ghost. Oh, look at Lindsay coming in with the No Limit Soldiers. Yes, Lindsay. Yes. What about 'Cause You're Here, Skrilla? Oh, is that why I chose this one? Yeah, Robin. I ask myself that a lot, but we actually do get to choose them. Oh, wow, spooky. Well, I will say this, like, it depends on the cemetery. If it's like a Civil War cemetery where they were like, I mean, there was really gory stuff happening in the Civil War, and the medical stuff was not great. And so, like, that area, yeah, some of those places for sure are probably haunted. Do you know what I mean? Especially battlefields and stuff like that, where they were just buried on the like Gettysburg. That's literally the battlefield that they just turned into a cemetery. So, hell yeah. Gettysburg, they're there. Yeah, Rachel, I did. I came back to help people. And when you finally have that ego death and realize that you're not even here for yourself, you're just like, oh. Like, I love helping people, but like, you just adjust your expectations where you're like, I'm not allowed to have nice things in this life. I'm here for others. That's why I'm like, it better be my last ride. Why, James? That's creepy. Were you body snatching? Yeah, Joe, Gettysburg. Oh my God, Robin, Culloden. Oh my God, I get goosebumps. I can't even talk about Culloden. I had so many ancestors die there. Like half of our line, because I am related to the Mackenzies and the Frasers. So what you see on Outlander is true. And my family went down swinging. Which I'm sure doesn't really surprise many of you guys who know my personality pretty well. Oh wait, Songbird, I don't know how to do that. I'll do that for you guys. How do we do that? Yeah, Robin, I know. The Fraser stone is at Culloden. I'm not sure why the Mackenzies didn't have a stone there. I can't remember, because Fraser and Mackenzies didn't always get along. So I'm assuming Mackenzies sided with the others, but the Frasers sure shit didn't, and half of that clan died at Culloden. But my ancestor was a male seer for Clan Mackenzie. He was the clan seer, and there is literally documentation about it. Like, so if it was a guy, he was allowed to be a witch, apparently. Which I find interesting, because they walked around with this male seer during the time that they were straight up executing tons of women for being seers. Yeah. So I found that interesting. But yep, he was a male seer, and they had him as the official seer of Clan Mackenzie. Yes, and Glencoe. Yeah, he was a wise witch, yeah. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that, Brooke. Christina, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the porch. A can seer? Wait, what? Oh, guys, the winner is the tin can. Mwah. Is Kim gone? I feel like Kim left in protest. Thank you, Jess. I'll be right back with the tin can silly story. And if you guys could share it out for me and repost, that'd be great. You could also unpost and re-repost. Every once in a while, it redoes the algorithm or whatever. I write the stories, EMC. I write them all myself. But they are based off of actual folklore, so I don't like make up the monsters and stuff. I just write the stories, but these are all based off of actual folklore and reported encounters. Yeah, thanks, EMZ. All right, guys, I'll be right back with the tin can, but I think most of you guys know what story this is. Also, I am very excited for this week's new story. I premiere a new story, if you're new here, every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on my YT channel. We do a live premiere, a live chat. It's really fun. And thank you, Joe. And this week's topic I chose. This week's topic is one that is important to me. And it was not a suggestion. Most of the stories I've been doing for a while now are people's suggestions. Thank you, Lex. But this one is one that I chose and I wanted to share with you guys. And I think it's one that a lot of people don't know. And it goes back to my ancestors' folklore. Well, that's okay, spooky churches. We're glad you're here. Is it about Uncrustables? It's funny you say that, Skrilla, because guess what? Guess who forgot to eat dinner and has an Uncrustable right beside her? Almost finished. I've been eating it during the polls. I'm the worst. I'll be right back with Tin Can. Yes, Brooke, I'm good at hiding it. I used to be live on live television for 5 hours a day. I had to get really good at hiding eating. Yes, I've had the raspberry one. It's good. I used to use my COVID masks like a horse feeding little thing that they put on their faces, and I'd fill it with fruit snacks, and I'd just yum, 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 yum. Yep. You gotta eat when you can. Yeah, a feed bag. Yep. I use my COVID mask as a feed bag, and I would fill it with fruit snacks, and I'd be like, yum, yum, yum. I'm a little horse. I'm a little horsey. And I'd gallop around town with my COVID mask filled with fruit snacks. Yeah, it was great because I'd be like, there goes one. Because they're just I let them sit there in the corner real quick and because, I also, when you live in your work vehicle, you gotta do what you gotta do, dude. Grape is your preference. I like strawberry. I like the strawberry. Be right back. Wait, Nature Oracle, there's a painting of a cat eating an Uncrustable? Was that made for me? Oh, Eilish, you probably don't have them over there, do you? They're literally just a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with no crust, frozen. And they're the perfect snack for people on the go because they're frozen. And by the time you're hungry, they're thought out. And you're like, hell yeah. Perfect. They're so good. Brooke, you can't figure this one out because it's an inside joke from Kim's live. Skrilla. Is that a sausage? Yes, they're good frozen too, exactly. That's so funny. Check out that new transition I figured out, guys. Smooth. What's like reading Rainbow? Yes, this is called Tin Can because in the worst documentary of all time, Hellier. Hi, Echo. Hi, Pumbaa. In Hellier, they convince themselves that a tin can they find in a cave in the Appalachian Mountains of Kentucky is a chimera. Okay? So, the reason this one is called Tin Can is because this is an actual chimera. A tin can is not a chimera. This is a chimera. Yeah, Brooke, it's bad. It's like a fever dream. It's like watching someone spiral into spiritual psychosis for 2 seasons. It's spiritual psychosis. Yeah, they literally thought a balloon was a government spy. Okay, at the end they've lost it. It's insane. But it's almost like entertaining because you're like, what are they talking about? So in it, they think a can is a chimera. In case you guys don't know, chimera goes back to the old like ancient Greek mythology where it was part lion, part deer, part some other. A chimera is a legendary creature that consists of more than one creature mixed together. That's all it is. So a tin can, they don't even know what a chimera is. They were just using words. And there's no way a tin can would be a chimera because it literally is a tin can. It's not multiple breeds of animal smushed together. And so that one kind of was where I was like, that's it. That I have to come up in a box and that's it. This is insane. This is nonsense. So that's why I named this Tin Can, because James suggested this for the title. And that's why Kim said she was going to punch all of us. Bing bong bing. Bong bong bing. Bing bong bong. So yeah. This is the Snallygaster. Give me a quick swig and I'll be right back. Thank you, James. Lion, goat, and snake. That's the original Greek chimera. And there's Kim with her fists. There she is. Eric, that's a good one. Demetricus, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the porch. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the Snallygaster. And don't worry, YT, it's coming up. Sorry guys, YT sometimes has a delay on the background flip, so I can't start it until their background comes up. All right, they've got it up. Gather round the fire, pull up a blanket, and listen closely. Because tonight, we're traveling back to the misty rolling hills of Frederick County, Maryland. We're going back to a time when the shadows had teeth, and the night sky belonged to a creature straight from nightmares. This is the tale of the Snallygaster. Our story begins centuries ago, in the early 1730s. 1738. The dense, uncharted forests of Maryland were settled by German immigrants who had crossed the ocean seeking a new life. They carved out their farms and built their homes in the rugged, unforgiving terrain near South Mountain. But as the winter nights grew long, they quickly realized they weren't alone in the wilderness. They began whispering of a creature lurking in the dark, calling it a Schnellergeist, German for quick ghost. Over the years, as cultures blended and accents shifted across the Maryland countryside, that name twisted and warped until it became what we know today. The Snallygaster. Now, before we let the firelight carry us too far into the mystery, there's another part of this story that deserves to be told. Because not all legends are harmless, and not all fear is accidental. By the early 1900s, especially during the 1909 newspaper frenzy, the Snallygaster was reshaped into something far more insidious. Articles from the time falsely claimed the creature preyed specifically on Black communities, turning an old piece of German folklore into a tool of intimidation during the Jim Crow era. These stories weren't meant for entertainment. They were used to reinforce segregation and to stoke fear and to control where people felt safe to live, travel, and exist. Historians today recognize these accounts as deliberate fabrications rooted in racism. So even as the modern version of the Snallygaster has been reclaimed as just another strange Appalachian cryptid with German roots, as we pass down these stories, it's worth remembering that behind some legends, real people were harmed, and not by monsters in the sky, but by the fear others chose to create here on the ground. Now imagine, if you will, walking out to your barn on a moonless night. The air goes deadly still. Then suddenly, a screech shatters the silence. A piercing sound, like the shriek of a runaway locomotive whistle. Thank you, Lonnie. You look up, and blocking out the stars is a beast that defies all logic. The snallygaster. The snallygaster is a monstrous chimera, and those unlucky enough to survive an encounter with one describe a massive winged creature, half reptile, half bird, with a terrifying metallic beak lined with razor-sharp teeth, and from its beak hung a cluster of squirming octopus-like tentacles. Hi, Nanita. It didn't just stalk the woods. It plummeted from the sky. The beast was said to swoop down in the dead of the night and snatch away livestock. And sometimes, if a farmer was caught wandering too far from the safety of his porch, the snallygaster would snatch him up too, draining its victims of their blood before dropping them on the hillside. The settlers were terrified. But they weren't defenseless. So they turned to the old ways, to folk magic. Now, if you drive through the back roads of Maryland and many of the surrounding states today, you might notice something peculiar on the sides of the old weathered barns. Thank you, Nanita. You'll see large, beautifully painted, geometric quilt patterns. But they aren't just quilt patterns. They are hex signs. That's right. They are very old German witchcraft. And among these hex signs, you will often find a bright 7-pointed star. While tourists today might think these stars are just decorative patterns, the old-timers and the witches know the truth. Those 7 painted stars were painted on the barn for a very specific and terrifying reason. Yes, it's Dash witchcraft. Da witchcraft. These 7-pointed stars were painted to ward off the snallygaster. It was believed that this specific symbol held potent protective magic, keeping the beast at bay and ensuring that the livestock and the family sleeping just a few yards away would survive to see the morning light. By the 20th century, the frantic newspaper reports of the snallygaster slowly began to fade. Some say the beast finally retreated back into the deep, dark caves of South Mountain. Others tell themselves that the changing modern world simply left no room for monsters. But as you lie in bed, listening to the wind rattle your window panes, ask yourself, do we really know everything that hides in the dark? And that's the tale of the snallygaster. Thank you, Demetricus. How are you? Happy Saturday. Welcome in, everybody. If you're new here, my name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep better. And I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. Thank you, Gardening Vixen. I do write and record all of these stories myself. Hi, Jade. Hi, Skrilla. Thank you, Deborah. I do write and record all these stories myself. So if you'd like to listen to them when I'm not live, they are all available on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. I also have all of the links in my bio. Hi, Skrilla. I'll give you attention whenever you want. Heidi, how's Jamaica? How's Jamaica? Oh, Fairy Witch, it's a long story, but chimeras can be anything, but they're still animals. So they are uneducated people who don't know what a chimera is. And I'm not really sure. We really never figured it out why they would think that, but I don't even like Skrilla. What do you mean? Who do you usually eat with? I eat alone all the time. Yeah, we never figured it out either, Fairy Witch. So you're not alone. That's why we made it a joke, because it was just absurd. Oh, you're leaving tomorrow, Heidi? Oh, I bet it's beautiful. Apollyon, welcome to the porch. Thanks for the follow. You did, Ellie? Yeah, Fairy Witch, no problem. Hi, Heart. How are you? Baldylocks, thank you for the rose. Welcome to the porch. Linz, thank you for the cozy cryptid. Hello, Bed of Dust. Aaron, thanks for your heart me. Hi, Jade. Hi, Jersey Chick. Hi, Dottie. Hi, Tina. Hi, Terry Bell. Thanks for the rose. Hi, Scream Queen. Hi, Daza. Welcome in. Yes, I did. Baldylocks. That's his name. It's clever. Yeah, Ellie. That's what they said in Hellier. They said that the tin can was a chimera. And that's why we were like, that makes no sense. Daza, if you're up right now, I'm assuming you're going on after me tonight. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Heidi. And thank you to those of you helping me with my gift gallery as well. I really appreciate you guys. Oh, he isn't? You're up so early, Daza. Good morning. And thanks for asking, Justin. You're always so on top of it. All right, guys, I'm setting up the next poll, and I'll be right back. Oh, the dogs woke you up. Well, thanks for coming to say hi. Time for me to be what? Hi, Misbehavin'. We love you. Deborah, your keywords are so funny. Okay, guys, the next poll is ready. We have, and it's Silly Story Title Saturday. So remember, these are just silly story titles. They're not the real titles. We have Whoop Whoop Pull Over That. Just kidding. His ass is not too fat. Whoop Whoop Pull Over. We have Flashing Lights. Do, 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 do. Okay, and then we have Creepy Cocktail. And we have Peekaboo. And we have Oh No He Didn't. And you guys can vote in the blue box in the top left-hand corner. And you can vote up to 50 times. And you can vote for more than one story. Who's it gonna be? Woot Woot Pull Over, Flashing Lights, Creepy Cocktail, Peekaboo, or Oh No He Didn't. Hi Gage, welcome in. Skrilla, what's that face? Oh, Tracy, it's okay. We just had to stop using that tag because there are people who troll ASMR lives just to give those musical gifts and mess up the live, which is ridiculous. But until that goes away, we just decided not to Oh, don't be sorry at all, Tracy. Don't be sorry at all. That is not something you would normally, you should be, you know what I mean? Like that, it's annoying. It's like, it's lowered my numbers in my live because I can't use that hashtag. So don't even worry. It's not just you. So speaking of lowered numbers, feel free to hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner. Feel free to unpost and repost if you've already done it, the little yellow circle with two arrows chasing each other. Feel free to share it to your stories and share it with your friends. And thank you guys for tapping. If you would tap the screen, I would really appreciate it. And I'll be right back with the creepy cocktail. Yes, Tracy, it is healing. It is actually a healing frequency. In the olden days, they used to call us sirens. But now, they call it ASMR. Hell yes, dude. I only waited fucking 1,000 years for that rebranding. I love that little otter. Hi, Khaleesi. Oh, that's okay, Zoe. That's why I like to remind people sometimes. Yes, Demetrius. Yes. We all decided to take jobs in ASMR because it's like, I can use my powers for good. Instead of like making sailors fall asleep and crashing their ships, I can like help you guys fall asleep. You know? Turn over a new leaf. Lonnie says, currently swings in the hammock. Thank you, Khaleesi. Welcome in. Thank you, Kate. Kate, for the club cheers. Justin says, as I'm steering a ship. I'm so glad, Dark Ray. Glad you came back. Thank you to those of you over on YT for helping me reach several gift goals tonight. You guys have been so generous. I really appreciate it. Which one did you think it was, Justin? Oh, that's not a bad guess, Justin. That's a good guess. And Ellie thought it was the mad scientist. Good guesses, guys. I didn't even think of those. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the last American vampire. Brooke, where's the cocktail in crawl space? Gather round the fire, pull up your blankets, and listen closely. Tonight's tale carries a chill from a time not so long ago. A time when the shadows at the edge of the woods held unexplained terrors that turned uneducated people towards cruelty and hysteria. Before we had antibiotics, before we understood the invisible microscopic world of bacteria, humanity was at the constant mercy of sudden, inexplicable death. And when uneducated people are terrified, when they watch the ones they love wither away before their very eyes. Thank you, Scrolla. Sadly, they don't tend to look to science for answers. They tend to look to evil forces or conspiracies. Anything to make sense of something they just don't understand. And that is exactly what happened in New England in the late 1800s. This is the true story of Mercy Brown, the last American vampire. Picture the winter of 1892 in Exeter, Rhode Island. It's a harsh, unforgiving landscape. Frost coats the bare branches, and the earth is frozen solid. Thank you, Cassie. Here we meet a young woman named Mercy Brown. She was only 19 years old, and by all accounts, a gentle, bright-eyed girl at the beginning of her life. She was the kind of person whose laughter brought warmth to a cold New England farmhouse. But a shadow had fallen over the Brown family. A relentless, invisible stalker called consumption. Today we know it as tuberculosis. But back then, they didn't know about airborne pathogens. All they knew was the horrifying reality of what the disease did to their loved ones. He's making me laugh. It earned the name consumption because it literally seemed to consume the afflicted from the inside out. Sufferers grew deathly pale. Their eyes became sunken and hollow, and they would cough up bright red blood. To the horrified onlookers of the 19th century, it didn't look like a sickness. It looked as though the life force was being slowly and deliberately drained from them by some unseen predator. The tragedy began years earlier. Mercy's mother, Mary, was the first to waste away and die. Then Mercy's older sister, Mary Olive, followed her to the grave. By 1891, the shadow fell on Mercy's brother, Edwin, a strong, strapping young man who suddenly began to wither away. And then the shadow turned to young Mercy. But the disease took her swiftly. While Edwin lingered, fighting for every breath, Mercy faded fast. In January of 1892, the bright light of Mercy Brown was extinguished. And because the ground was too frozen to dig a proper grave, her coffin was placed in an above-ground crypt, waiting for the spring thaw. But Edwin was still dying. And as his condition worsened, a chilling whisper began to spread through the small, desperate town of Exeter. Sir, this is a Wendy's. The neighbors looked at the grieving father, George Brown, and they planted a terrifying seed of doubt. Why is George's family dying? They whispered. It's the old curse. One of the dead is feeding on the living. One of them is a vampire. They believed that the first to die in the family would refuse to rest and return from the grave in spirit form to drain the vitality from the surviving relatives. It was a desperate folk belief, born of sheer panic. When science cannot explain why a family is being wiped out, weaker human minds will invent monsters to make sense of the unexplained. Desperate to save his only remaining son, George Brown finally gave in. And on a freezing morning in March of 1892, hi CJ, a group of townspeople accompanied by a local doctor marched into the cemetery. They opened the graves of the mother and the eldest sister first. And they found nothing but bone and dust. Then they pried open the crypt holding 19-year-old Mercy. Gasps echoed through the freezing air. Mercy did not look like a decaying corpse. Her body had slightly shifted in the coffin and her skin was still flush. And when the doctor, trembling, cut into her chest, he found liquid blood in her heart. A vampire, the townspeople declared. What the desperate, terrified minds of the 19th century could not comprehend was the natural science that follows death. Justin. Mercy had been dead for barely 2 months. Oh, Robin, I say it all the time. Mercy had been dead for barely 2 months, stored in an above-ground crypt during the freezing New England winter. The cold had acted as an icebox, perfectly preserving her remains. The shifting of her body was merely the natural process of decomposition and bloating. But a lack of knowledge mixed with fear is a powerful blinding force. Hi, Rochelle. And right there in the cemetery, they removed Mercy's heart and liver. They placed her organs on a nearby rock and set them ablaze. The smoke drifted up into the winter sky, carrying the remains of the innocent girl. They scooped up the ashes, mixed them with water, and fed the vile concoction to young Edwin, a gruesome, desperate magic potion meant to cure him.
A creepy cocktail.
And no surprise, it didn't work, and Edwin died 2 months later. The story of Mercy Brown is a haunting campfire tale. But the true monster wasn't a fanged creature of the night. The monster was a lack of knowledge and fear. The tragedy of the New England vampire panic is a profound reflection of how our ancestors struggled. Faced with the devastating mysteries of nature, disease, and death, they sought to regain control through grim rituals, turning their own tragic dead into scapegoats. So, let this story be a reminder. When we are faced with the unknown, when fear threatens to consume us, we must strive to hold on to reason. We must remember to shine the light of compassion into the dark, rather than creating monsters out of shadows. For the greatest tragedies occur not when the dead rise, but when the living let their terror guide them. And that's the tale of the last American vampire. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. Yes, Gigi. I do write and record all of these stories myself, and you can listen to them whenever you would like on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore, and you will find me. I also have all of the links in my bio. And I'm going to set up another poll if you guys could do me a big favor. Could you hit that share arrow in the bottom right hand corner? And there's a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Thank you, Haley. Skrilla. Hi, Rochelle. Hi, Joanne. Good morning. Also, you can unrepost and re-repost. Yeah, thank you, Terry Lee. You can refresh it. Also, sharing to your stories helps too, but I am going to go a little bit later tonight, so feel free to refresh if you want. And I'm going to set up the next poll. So happy Saturday. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax, and welcome to the porch. Oh, love you, Justin. Oh, good morning, Haley. Hi, Dallas. Welcome in, everybody. All right, the next poll is ready. All right. Hi, Angela. All right, we have Woot Woot Pull Over. We have Lost Without a Map. Hi, Robin. How you doing, cutie? Happy Saturday. We have Lost Without a Map. It's Silly Story Title Saturday, guys. Don't forget, these are not the real titles. We also have Oh No, He Didn't. We have Meemaw, is that you? And we have They'll Say It's Conservation. And you can vote in the top left-hand corner. We have Woot Woot Pull Over. Lost Without a Map. Oh No, He Didn't. And Meemaw, is that you? And Angela, it's only 8-8. It's 2026. Thank you, Robin, for the cowboy hat. Woohoo! And hi, Star. Oh, is it Jade? Okay, but Angela, when do you know when to stop? Because then 8 equals 4 plus 4. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I don't know. That's just what makes you decide to stop at 8. You could have stopped 10 minutes ago at the other 15. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, 8 plus 8 is 16. Plus 2 plus 2 plus 6. Okay, so then why didn't you stop at 6? Like, what made you stop at 8? Because it goes nicely with 8 and 8. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I do like that idea, but I'm not sure how I feel about that kind of, I love you too. I do love angel numbers though, but I do feel like if I had $1 for every time they told me some portal was opening and nothing happened, I think it's more about intention, and I don't think it has as much to do with, you know what I mean, witch talk. Yeah, exactly. Another one. Yeah, it's like, yeah. But I didn't realize that 2026 could turn into 8. But I feel like last year they somehow made it turn into 8. Because I heard that last year. Yeah. But either way, it is nice to just appreciate the aligning of the planets and astronomy. You know what I mean? I just feel like I like all of that, but I'm not sure how much weight it carries because, do you know what I mean? Which one's wild behavior, Angela? I love you. You tend to close portals, not open them, Star. With retrograde stuff, no, retrograde is different. It's different than like the date lining up. I guess it's because, to be honest, we made up time. I guess I'm not gonna. I hate to when I get this deep, when I go into like the nothing means anything thing, but it's true. We made up time. So is it August? Is it 8/8? We made all that up. So if we're actually talking cosmic ass shit, I don't think they give a fuck that it's 8/8 in our made up calendar of August. So I don't like to pop the bubble, but I'm a primordial ass soul, and we didn't used to have August. I hate to ruin the party. Me too, Winter. And you want to know who is for it? People with small children, including my best friend. We got an argument about it on the phone the other day. And I told her, she said, and then she laughed because she knew I was right. And she laughed at herself. And she's like, you're right. Because she said, there's studies that show there's so many more car accidents in the morning when it's dark. I was like, wait, so your brain can't adapt to the fact that it's dark in the morning, but you're not crashing your car when it's dark at night. Somehow, just because it's dark in the morning, your brain can't comprehend that and crashes. Like she's like, yep, I would be one of them. And then she made fun of herself. She's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense. If you can't adapt enough to where it's dark in the morning and your brain can't compute that, then I'm sorry, you shouldn't even have a license. And she said the stats show that there's way more car accidents when it's dark. I'm like, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that shit at all. Show me the stats. And then I was like, you know what it is? It's you guys don't want your kids. Well, and she's homeschooled, so she shouldn't even worry about it. But people don't want their kids at the bus stop in the dark. That's really what it comes down to. Morning brain isn't a thing. That's called get more sleep then. Sleep inertia? Well, then, I don't know. Regardless, I think that's a silly excuse for us to still be doing something that we did before we had electricity. Yeah, but bed of dust, that's like, again, people aren't awake at night. What's the difference? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not buying it. Yeah. Well, if you need more sleep, then you need more sleep. Right, Skrilla? I know. What is it? You're right, Star. It is. It's all an illusion. You have sleep inertia, but you'd rather stick to one time. Yeah. Well, and the thing is there's so many people in the world, it's not going to please everybody because not everybody agrees. But we've been doing it for hundreds of years before there was no electricity. And like, it's kind of like now it's just really throws everybody off. You know what I'm saying? It's annoying. And it takes a while to get used to it every single time. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, that's good for you, Skrilla. Chuck what out the window, Brooke? Yeah, me too, Winter. Literally, like a month. And I'll be telling people, I'm like, I'm sorry, it's just the time change. They're like, that happened weeks ago. I'm like, yeah, it sure did. And I'm sorry, I'm still not adjusted. Oh, thanks, Brandon. Exactly, Star. The body will tell you, not a clock. That's exactly right. And I am so tuned and grounded to the earth and my body that I don't snap back like a robot. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, what? Where's the sun? What day is it? You know, like, time to adjust my harvesting hours. Harvesting? What do you mean? Good night, Robin. Sweet dreams. Really, Justin? You're so lucky. You're so lucky. We have a couple states that don't do it. But then it's very confusing because everybody else does. So then they change times like it's even weirder. Like Kim's in Arizona that doesn't do it. So she went from like, when we first became friends, she was like 2-hour difference. Now she's 3-hour difference. You know, like I'm like, oh, she used to go live at what, 11 my time? Now it's 12. Jim or whatever. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. My favorite horror movie, I would have to say Skeleton Key or Haunting in Connecticut 2. Not the first one. Yeah, Positively Me. I love the summer night. And that's what my friend Chelsea said. Again, I said people with little kids are the reason we still have fucking daylight savings time. Sorry, guys. It's true. With my best friend said, yeah, we're supposed to be winding down and it's bedtime by 8. I'm like, what? No, it's not 8. She's like, it's supposed to be dark by 8. What? And here, it doesn't get dark till 10 right now. And I'm loving it. Loving it. Because I don't have little ones to try to go to sleep. And everybody, so like, if they really admitted it, it's because they just want it to make them it easier to be parents. While the rest of us, you know, wake up and go to sleep and have a month to adjust. You know what I mean? It used to be for farmers, Star. It used to be for farmers long before when we didn't have electricity. But guess what, you guys? Tractors have headlights now, like halogen lights, and they don't need that. It was literally for, that's what I'm saying. It's a 200-year-old thing that we absolutely don't need anymore. But the people clinging to it that are fighting for it are people with little kids. Because they don't want their kids at the bus stop in the dark, and they don't want to have to put their kids to bed in the light. But most of us don't go to bed at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like adults who make up more of the population. We don't go to bed at 7. That's so smart, Amanda. That's so smart that you never did that. So smart. 9 o'clock? That's a good bedtime, Nikki. Yeah, and I'm not saying all people. I'm saying the people championing. I'm not saying all people with kids like it. I'm saying the people championing for it, the people who are fighting to keep it. It's like an organization of like parents. My night's good, Doughboy. How are you? But yeah, I wasn't saying that all people with kids like it. I'm saying the people fighting to keep it are people, it's like a group of parents. Yeah, what will be. Yeah, for sure. Skrill it. Yes. Okay, guys. The winner is, they'll say it's conservation. Be right back. It's Saturday, Nick. You know, it's Saturday. It's not a school night. Scroll. Yeah, Laura, it's conservation. And I don't even know if anybody will get this joke. They sure were, Nate. You know why? Because Snick was on, and Are You Afraid of the Dark was on. My favorite show on Saturdays. Saturday Night Snick. I don't have a permit, Skrilla. Yes, Amanda, the Are You Afraid of the Dark was the inspiration for my channel. Who is this icon? Here to observe says, coming in hot from Oklahoma on the fireball. Hi. Coming in hot. Coming in hot, girl. Hi. And no, I'm not. Not afraid, Skrilla. Yeah, total vibes. Here to observe your vibes. Coming in hot, y'all. Yes, I love Goosebumps. And So Weird. Really, Robert? I didn't know that. Robert says the time change only happened during World War II. It's not 100 years old. Interesting. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of Poplar Creek. Last June, I received an email inviting me to spend an entire week in a place called Poplar Creek. I couldn't believe it. Someone had discovered my channel. The subject line read, "Dear creator, we love your folklore content. Come experience the real Appalachia." The email explained that Poplar Creek was trying to revive tourism after decades of economic decline. And they were inviting a handful of content creators to stay free of charge in exchange for making content showcasing to our audiences what their little holler had to offer. The offer included accommodations at a restored historical cabin, free meals, guided tours, and unrestricted access to historic sites that were normally closed to the public. It honestly sounded like my dream trip. I searched for Poplar Creek online and there wasn't much. An outdated town website that hadn't been updated in 6 years, a Facebook page, and a few photographs showing brick storefronts beneath huge oak trees. Everything looked charming. And to be honest, I'm not at the point yet where I can really afford to travel to all the spooky locations for content that I'd like to, yet. And this was my first brand collaboration offer with all expenses paid. I was just feeling really proud of myself and appreciative for the recognition of my passion and hard work. So this felt like a sign from the universe that this content creating path was actually working out. So I accepted the offer. It took almost 8 hours to reach the town. The interstate gave way to a 2-lane highway, which eventually turned into a winding mountain road. Eventually, my GPS stopped working. But someone had anticipated that, and I started to see hand-painted wooden signs every few miles. "Welcome content creators. This way to Poplar Creek," with arrows leading the way. How quaint and cute. When I finally rounded the last bend, I smiled. It looked beautiful. Fresh flower boxes hung beneath every window. The courthouse clock chimed noon. Families walked between antique stores carrying ice cream cones. It felt like stepping to another era. Almost immediately, people started waving at me. And not just politely. It was like they already knew who I was. Everyone seemed genuinely excited that I had come. And it was honestly hard to wrap my head around the fact that these people recognized me and were fans of my work. But their reception to my arrival made me feel like a queen. In the town square, they introduced me to a few other content creators that had also been invited. They seemed to be other creators with channels who had just started taking off. So we were all new to this whole experience. There was a guy who was a food content creator there to film content about their restaurants. And then there was a girl who was an outdoor content creator who was going to showcase the Appalachian wilderness in the area. And then there was me, the folklorist spooky storyteller. They seemed nice, and we each wished each other a week of good content. And then we all split up to be escorted to our own cabins. My cabin was extremely remote. There wasn't even an established road to get to it. Just a dirt trail that beat up my car, and my car barely cleared. It sat surrounded by forest overlooking a creek. It was beautiful. There was a wraparound porch, and inside, there was a stone fireplace, old quilts, and fresh flowers on the kitchen table, my favorite. Someone had even stocked the refrigerator. God, I missed Southern hospitality like this. The first 3 days were wonderful. I filmed old haunted caves, historic cemeteries, an abandoned mine, and railroad tunnel. Then, I realized that I hadn't encountered any of the other creators yet. Which was a little odd, but we were pretty much off grid, so I figured our paths just hadn't crossed yet. Everywhere I went, a local offered another story. Every resident seemed eager to tell me about the town's history and folklore. And I noticed that one thing kept coming up. They were incredibly proud that nobody ever left Poplar Creek. Good night, Brooke. Families had lived there for generations. Children grew up, married neighbors, and raised children of their own, all within that same little holler. Nobody ever leaves Poplar Creek. Everyone smiled when they said it. Kinda creepy, if you ask me. By the 4th morning, I had decided to explore somewhere off the beaten path. Somewhere nobody had recommended. An overgrown logging road that I noticed leading into the woods behind my cabin. About half a mile in, I found something unexpected. Good night, Star. Oh wait, never mind, Brooke's leaving. Good night, Brooke. A camera, broken, half buried beneath the leaves. Not old enough to be there for very long. The camera wasn't salvageable, but maybe the footage someone was trying to film would still be intact. So I grabbed the SD card and I took it back to the cabin with me. The card was still readable, and when I opened the files, it was footage of the girl that I had met earlier in the week. The outdoor adventure creator. I scrolled through her raw footage. She had spent several days happily exploring Poplar Creek. But then, the recordings changed. Her videos became erratic, paranoid. They were all of her, very close to the camera, whispering about how people were following her. She described how her cabin had been searched while she was in town, and how her rental car wouldn't start. The final clip lasted only 12 seconds. The camera was shaking violently as it showed a view of her running through the woods. Multiple inadequate flashlight beams filled the trees behind her as she ran in tears. And then the recording ended suddenly with someone grabbing the camera and throwing it to the ground. And that was it. No explanation. No ending. What? I drove straight into town. I intended to get gas, stock up on some snacks, and leave immediately. Yeah, bed of dust, multiple. But after filling up my car at the gas station, it wouldn't start. Thank you, Michael. The town mechanic, who just happened to be attached to said gas station, checked it out and calmly explained that the distributor had somehow failed overnight. But he said that he could have the part after the weekend. Then he told me that by the time he got the part, I wouldn't even be worried about leaving Poplar Creek. Thank you, Chelsea. I love that. Okay, weirdo. Great. I was stranded and freaking out. After that, I instantly became hyper aware of my surroundings. And I started to notice some strange things. The same old pickup truck drove by my cabin every single evening 3 times. Exactly 3 times. One afternoon, I returned from town and immediately knew someone had been inside the cabin. Nothing had been stolen, but I could tell everything had been touched. My suitcase had been unzipped and my notebook that I had left on the coffee table was now open on the kitchen counter, like someone had been flipping through my notes. That night, I couldn't sleep. The next morning, I hiked back to where I found the camera. This time, I kept going. The logging road eventually ended at an old quarry, and hidden behind stacks of broken stones were 6 small cabins. So, I decided to investigate. Thank you, here to observe. Inside each cabin, I found abandoned bags and suitcases. Not full of just clothing, but tripods, ring lights, cameras, batteries, phones, laptops, iPads. Thousands of dollars worth of creator equipment. Just left along with all of their other belongings. Oh my God. What kind of sick game is this? That's when I heard trucks approaching. I ducked behind an overturned loader while 4 men climbed out. They carried rifles. I immediately recognized one of them as the mechanic who looked at my car. Another was the man who had checked me into my cabin. They began searching the cabins one by one. After a while, one of the men pointed toward the woods, toward where I was hiding. I didn't wait. I just ran like hell. I spotted an old coal conveyor stretching across a ravine, half collapsed. So I crawled underneath it just as headlights swept over the hillside. Oh, sweetie, if chronic farting conditions stopped men from having girlfriends, no one would have one. They spread out below me. Flashlights cut through the darkness. I figured if I just hide here perfectly still and quiet until daylight, I should be able to run and find help. But then I realized they had dogs with them. I could hear their barking echoing through the valley. My heart nearly stopped. I inched across the rusted steel framework until I reached the opposite side. Then, one support beam loudly snapped beneath me. The noise drew every inadequate flashlight up toward me. Good night, Connor. And they saw me. Without thinking, I just slid down the rest of the way, and I hit the ground pretty hard, but I scrambled to my feet and I just kept running. Branches whipped at my face. I lost one of my shoes crossing a creek, but I just kept moving. I could hear the dogs getting closer. And then I saw railroad tracks. Active tracks. And then I saw a freight train round the bend. And without even thinking, I just sprinted beside it. I grabbed a ladder and somehow pulled myself aboard. It must have been adrenaline because I didn't even know I had that kind of upper body strength, to be honest. I held on for dear life to the side of that train as it carried me out of that terrifying valley. The last thing I saw was nearly 30 people with rifles standing beside the tracks, watching me get away. State police returned with me 2 days later. Thank you, Skrilla, for the pretty dress. And Poplar Creek was exactly where I had left it. The town existed, the people existed, the cabins existed. But the townspeople insisted that I had become confused while hiking after suffering dehydration and a head injury from falling. I did not fall. The mechanic produced repair records showing my car had never been touched. The innkeeper showed signed paperwork claiming I had officially checked out voluntarily. Even the waitress swore I'd left early because of a family emergency. Every single resident told the same story. They were all in on it. And without evidence, there wasn't a case. When I got back, I uploaded a video explaining my terrifying encounter in the spooky town of Poplar Creek as a warning to other creators. But instead, it sparked a major rush in content creators going to Poplar Creek to try to document their own experiences in what they deemed the holler from hell. Then, about 6 months later, I received an email. Subject line: "Thanks for making Poplar popular again." The email read, "Dear content creator, thank you for the publicity and bringing so much attention to our humble little holler. We've already invited next year's batch of creators, and only one will win the title of next year's tourism ambassador." And that's the tale of Poplar Creek. Thank you, Skrilla. And Andrew, the silly story titles are only for the stories that get voted on. So Diner doesn't have one. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep better. And I am here every single night from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all of these stories myself, and you can listen to them whenever you would like on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Thank you, Reese. I appreciate that. What about the stories, Dane? And the stories what? What about? What are you asking? Patrick, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the porch. Cheyenne, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the porch. Happy Saturday, everybody. I'm going to pull up the next story. And if you guys would do me a big favor, if you could hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. That puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch. Aw, thanks, Reese. Also, sharing to your stories and sharing with your friends helps too. And thank you to those of you tapping the screen. It helps more than you realize. And thank you to those of you helping me with my gift gallery. and the gift goals. You guys are great. I'll be right back with the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. So grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax, and welcome to the porch. Thank you, Nate. And if you like grilled cheese, I highly recommend you make one now, because this is the story we end the live with every night, and it is everybody's favorite, and you will be craving a grilled cheese sandwich after this. Oh, that's okay, Chelsea. I'm here every night. You can try again. Be right back. Oh, yum, Fairy Witch. Issa, thank you for your first gift ever. Welcome to the porch. Fairy Witch, the grilled cheese shorts are on the merch site. Speaking of, feel free to check out the merch. Lots of ones that have to do with the stories and their characters, as well as cryptids and all kinds of fun stuff. It's not just logo merch. And yes, there are grilled cheese shorts. There's grilled cheese pajamas, all kinds of fun stuff. Thank you, Justin, for pinning it there. That is the link. You just type that into your search engine and you'll find it. Yes, they're very cute. I'll be right back. I love cryptids too, Null Archives. I love them. It's submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. I'm not usually the kind of person who pulls over on back roads at night. Not unless I absolutely have to. But that night, something about the storm, the long drive, and that growling pit in my stomach convinced me otherwise. I was hungry. It was late October, and I was headed back to campus after a weekend visit with my friends in North Carolina. I had a midterm on Monday, and my plan had been to drive straight through. 5 hours, no stops. But then came the rain. One of those cold, slanted, whispery rains that creeps into your bones and makes the windshield wipers sound like a heartbeat. I had taken the wrong exit, trying to bypass traffic, and I ended up on a 2-lane back road, surrounded by nothing but pine trees and power lines. And that's when I saw the neon sign. SYCAMRE Diner. The O in Sycamore was flickering like it hadn't worked right in years. But the rest was lit up in a cherry red neon. A tiny beacon in the middle of nowhere. I figured I'd grab a quick bite, maybe some coffee, check my map, and get back on the highway. And yes, I am very rich. But I should have just kept driving. I should have known something was off the second I stepped inside. The bell over the door jingled, but not like a normal bell. It made this sharp metallic ping that echoed longer than it should have. The air inside was warm, almost too warm, and it smelled like grilled onions and pancake syrup. And that's right, Gabriel, it's not any worse than Waffle House in North Carolina. The place looked like it had been yanked straight from 1957. Checkerboard floor, red vinyl booths, a long counter with spinning stools, even a jukebox in the corner that looked like it hadn't worked in decades. And the people? They all stopped and looked at me the second I walked in. Not in a rude way, just quiet. Like they weren't expecting me. Like I had walked into the middle of a sentence that no one wanted to finish. Yes, Justin. A waitress, tall, with a beehive hairdo, and a light blue uniform smiled and waved me over. You get caught in the rain, sweetheart, she said, handing me a laminated menu. I nodded, still trying to shake off that weird feeling. Yeah, the highway's a mess. She chuckled and patted my shoulder. Well, you're safe here. Sycamore's always open for travelers. I sat down at a corner booth and the vinyl creaked. And I remember the jukebox shifted songs by itself and started playing some slow doo-wop ballad that I didn't recognize. I looked around and Gabriel. I looked around and everyone looked normal. Sort of. There was a trucker with a thick gray beard drinking coffee at the counter. A young couple whispering to each other in a booth by the jukebox. And an older woman stirring tea like she was lost in thought. But they all had the same look in their eyes, like they were there but also somewhere else. Like they were watching me out of the corner of their eyes even when they were looking down. Thank you, Skrilla. The waitress came back with coffee. Strong, hot, and surprisingly good. And I ordered a grilled cheese with fries. Simple, safe. She wrote it down with one of those clicky pens and said, "Don't worry, it's on the house tonight." And that was my second red flag. No diner just gives food away. While I waited, I took out my phone to check the map. No signal, and I mean nothing. No bars, no Wi-Fi, not even GPS. Just a blank screen with a spinning wheel. I glanced out the foggy window. The storm was still going, but now the wind had picked up. I could see the power lines swaying like jump ropes in the dark. But the diner stayed perfectly lit. Not even a flicker. Bitch, you wish. Somebody already answered you, and maybe you wouldn't hear the same story if you didn't come at the fucking end every time. This is the story we end the live with. So stop complaining and maybe come when the live starts. Because, yeah, you're only going to hear this story if you show up at the end every time. Okay? And my mods already answered you. So you wanted me to stop the story to answer you, bitch, you wish? I did. Now shut up. The food came fast. Too fast. Like under 5 minutes. But it looked amazing. Golden bread, gooey cheese, crispy fries with a little metal cup of ketchup on the side. I took a bite. Delicious. I mean, I've eaten at a lot of diners, greasy spoons, college joints, and roadside shacks. But this was hands down the best grilled cheese I've ever had. The fries were perfect, and the coffee never ran out. Every time I took a sip, it was somehow full again. I was halfway through the sandwich when the trucker got up to leave. He walked right past my table, nodded once, and whispered, "Don't stay past midnight." That's all he said. What? But he was already out the door. The waitress gave me a tight smile and walked over, collecting his empty mug. Old Earl, he's always saying weird stuff. Just ignore him. But I couldn't. Something about his voice stuck with me. Something about the way he looked at me. Not like I was a customer, but like I was in danger. I checked the clock over the register. 11:42. I figured I had just enough time to finish my fries, grab the check, and head out. I still had at least 3 hours left on the road. Thank you, here to observe. I'm from North Carolina. But when I stood up, the lights flickered. Just once and then again. And then everything in the diner stopped moving. Thank you, Issa. That's my dream. The couple by the jukebox froze mid-sentence. The woman with the tea stopped stirring, her spoon hanging in midair. The waitress, her hand reached out for a mug, just stopped. Like someone hit pause on the entire scene. I took a step back. The jukebox buzzed, glitched, and restarted a new track. I could still move, but no one else could. And then I heard it. Not music, not a storm, a voice. Not coming from anyone I could see. Just a whisper that seemed to echo from the walls themselves. I backed toward the door, my heart hammering in my chest. I turned the knob. Locked. Of course it was locked. I tried the windows, but they were sealed shut. I started banging on the glass and shouting, but no one was outside, just wind and rain and that flickering red sign. Thank you, Sally. SYCAMRE. Thank you, Taryn. I turned back toward the dining room, and everyone was gone. Not frozen anymore, just gone. The booths were empty. No plates, no crumbs, no mugs. No sign that anyone had ever even been there. Except for my plate. Still warm and still half eaten. Thank you, Audrey. That's so sweet. And then I saw the waitress. She was standing by the kitchen doors. Her silhouette was backlit by flickering fluorescent light. Her face was wrong. The same smile, but her eyes were empty, black and endless, like someone had painted over them. You shouldn't be here, honey, she said in that same cheerful voice. Not yet. I stumbled back, knocking over a chair, as she took one slow step toward me. The others, they were waiting, but you just wandered in. She raised a hand and the walls began to shimmer, literally shimmer, like heat waves on asphalt. The checkered floor rippled and the red booths started to fade, becoming outlines and then shadows and then nothing. And then I saw it, underneath the illusion. It was charred wood, cracked tile, broken beams, and black soot, like the diner had burned down long ago. I ran. I don't even remember how I got out. 1 second I was inside, and the next I was on the side of the road, soaked to the bone and gasping for air. My car was still there, pulled up with the ceiling missing, parked on gravel that didn't even look like a lot anymore. Just weeds and puddles. No neon sign, no glowing windows, just nothing. Thanks, Justin. I drove back to campus that night in silence. No 2 Chainz, no Porch Lore podcast. I kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see that red neon flicker back to life. Hi, Mom Mimi. Welcome in. I didn't tell anyone. Not for weeks. Not until I finally looked up Sycamore Diner on a local history site. And I found it. It burned to the ground in 1972. A gas leak. The whole place went up at midnight. And everyone inside was killed. 5 patrons, a waitress, and a cook. The photo in the article. The same checkerboard floor. The same red booths. The same neon sign. SYCAMORE. And in the corner of the photo, that same waitress, smiling. I never took that back road again. I don't even drive at night anymore if I can help it. And every time I see a neon diner sign, something in me flinches just a little, because I know I was there, and I know I wasn't supposed to be. But the part that keeps me up sometimes, the part that really makes my stomach turn, that was the best damn grilled cheese I've ever had. And I didn't even pay for it. And that's the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. Everybody's favorite story. And yes, there are grilled cheese shorts, grilled cheese PJs, all of the story-based merch. But that is so popular. Oh, thank you, Michelle. The Sycamore Diner is so popular that it has its own section in my merch store. So you can go check out all of the stuff that pertains to Sycamore Diner. Thief? What do you mean, Skrilla? She told me it was on the house. What do you mean? Did you miss that part? Because I know you were confused about who Earl was. So I just want to make sure you did hear the part where she said it's on the house, right? Just wanted to make sure. Oh, Jade. Good night, Horace. Good night, Hank. Good night, Cloud Dancing. No, Justin. He thought Earl was the cook until like 4 days ago. Because he doesn't actually listen to any of my stories. He just gives me watch time and comes in and types in some comments. No, he's on the West Coast, bed of dust. It's like 7 o'clock when it starts for him. Oh my God, Skrilla, you know what? Anyway, good night, guys. Happy Saturday. I love you guys. I will see you again tomorrow. Same time, same place, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And don't forget Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live premiere on my YT. I'm very excited about the story. It's a topic I chose. It's very dear to my heart. It is my ancestral folklore and magic, and I'm excited for it. So don't miss the premiere on Monday if you want to be there when we get all excited about it. Because this one is not a request. This is one I chose that I want to tell you guys. And I think it's one a lot of you guys don't know. I know that I single-handedly taught Jade about this stuff last summer. Jade, that's the only hint I'm giving you. So I hope you guys like it. And I hope you guys get some good sleep. And if you don't, head on over to my YT channel. There's a playlist called Bedtime Stories, and you'll be out by like the second story. You can hit shuffle or play all, and you'll be snoozing. And they're also on all of the podcast streaming sites. Yes, it's going to be fun. And don't forget, guys, stay spooky.